Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Let me make sure the audio is working so I don't talk to myself for half an hour. And I hope everybody's doing okay. There he is. He is live. Anyway, I know it's a crazy day, but let's just do this. I got my little, Bitcoin t-shirt on. And I got my little Bitcoin here as well. It's a very special day. This is a special day for all of humanity, despite it being a rocky day, but I'll get to that as well. So hang tough, everybody. Let's go. A lot of stuff to get through as usual. Thank you all for being here. We're going to talk about all the good stuff. So let's go. Math, money, freedom, and this is edutainment. You guys know the drill. So first of all, as usual, I'm almost getting tired of saying this. Yeah, red day, but there's a dark green patch in the middle. How is that even possible? And it's funny because I'm looking at the actual real-time quote right now. Guess what just started to pump a minute ago? Solana. So it's mad. But if you saw, this was a 2-day video, 2 videos today. I feel like George. I did a TA, bringing back the TA Tuesday. It's going to be quick and dirty, but it's going to show you what I see, and it'll be very valuable, but it's not going to be a polished product or anything like that. And I talked about how sniping was very important today, and I had a great day. So in honor of orangutans and Bitcoin, I bought Bitcoin today. But I never dreamed I'd get fills like I did. I never thought I'd get a fill at 43K. And I did 3/4 of Bitcoin at 43K and a quarter at about 47K. And that Bitcoin is going to be dedicated to the orangutans in Indonesia. So just want to share that with you all. But I'm going to wait for it to get a certain level of price, and then it's going to go and start a nice new compound. So thanks, everybody. Just want to share that good news. So let's talk about how this is great for the world and humanity. So everybody, we all know what happened today. Bitcoin was down 16% in minutes. When I was watching the live chart, it was kind of funny. I was like, whoa, I'm going to get a fill of 47K. And then I was like, it just went straight down. It was the fastest Bitcoin red candle I've ever seen in my life. And I spent a lot of time looking at these charts. Anyway, it did fall very sharply on September 7th. It's a day of infamy, both good and bad. But it gave people a chance to become whole coiners at a pretty low price. So anyway, good news there with bad news. Now the question is it a coincidence that this happened the same day that El Salvador is accepting Bitcoin as legal tender? And I believe there's no such thing as coincidences. And I believe it's all orchestrated. So that sounds a little bit tin-hatty, but let's look at a few things. So we did have some indicators. And if you look here, this was a historical red flag. This is the ratio typically of leverage. And when the ratio of leverage goes up, it typically, when it hits a top, it's a sell signal. It means the market is too frothy. And if it's at a bottom, it's a buy signal. So you can see here, we were getting to kind of like a mini top. And right now we'll see. But this correction already happened. So we're back in business. Don't look at too bad. Now, in terms of other news as well, how much was wiped out? This was quite staggering. If you look at this, so nearly 4 billion was wiped off of Bitcoin open interest during the sell-off. That is crazy. We went from 13.4 billion down to 9.4 billion. Talk about a crazy flush out. So a lot of people that were heavily leveraged got hit hard, and I apologize for that. But I hope they are okay. I know it seemed like, well, with El Salvador news, a lot of people believe this is a good time to kind of go long. But again, this is what the manipulators wait for. The whales, they know this thin volume. They know where the leverage positions are. They sit and they wait and they snipe like I do, but except for the cascading limits that are crushed and hit, that go boom, 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 and keep on going all the way down to 43. Who's buying? Me. And so are the whales. So be careful of that. Don't have stop losses. Don't use leverage unless you really, really know what you're doing. So that's kind of the lesson from there. Now, a little reminder, manipulation is there. I guarantee you it is existing. And we saw that last week when I showed some charts about whales moving crypto onto the exchanges. That was it. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about El Salvador. All eyes are on El Salvador, and this is kind of what's interesting. Let's not talk about El Salvador, but let's talk about Panama for a second. You can see here that a congressman has presented a new crypto bill, and the draft of this bill will propose that Bitcoin and Ethereum can be used as currency. Legal tender. And one of the reasons they want this is because they believe Panama is kind of like a port of the world, or pass-through area of the world, and they believe they need to shore it up with technology and innovation and internet. And also, it is a big financial center, and they want Panamanians to, be part of this whole revolution as they go forward. They also want to protect their money from inflation, support the emergence of new companies, attract knowledge, and much more. So it's like a win-win-win-win-win-win all over the place. And that's what Bitcoin does. It fixes everything. So let's talk a little bit more. FUD time, of course, we have to have some FUD time. The retreat in Bitcoin basically came on the exact same day in its 12-year history as El Salvador was the first country to adopt as legal tender, as you know. So this is so bizarre that everything is happening at once. Now, Nayib Bukele is, I think, an incredible guy, and what he's doing for the country is amazing. The wallets are working. People were spreading FUD that there's a whole bunch of glitches and everything's going to be shut down and everything else, but no. A lot of people on the ground in El Salvador. They're at Starbucks using their little digital wallets. There's people at Chivo ATMs using those too. There was a few little bugs in the morning, but it's all fine. Strike, I think, was down for half an hour or so as well because of overload. But again, these are technical difficulties. We're doing something that's never been done before. So it's huge. And I think McDonald's as well is working and operational. So all goodness. And there's more good news too. So guess who is buying the dip? Nayib Bukele. He bought 200 Bitcoin last week. He bought 200 more over the weekend, and he bought 150 today. So if that's not a bullish sign, it's fantastic. Anyway, just imagine how many people he can give $30 to when he buys 200 Bitcoin, especially when he buys it at 43K or 44K like today. It goes to 50K. He can support so many more people. And he looked like a genius, and he's a leader of our time. He's taken on a huge risk, but I think he can pull it off, especially with people like Jack Mallers who's supporting him. So let's talk about Bitcoin. And why are people so freaked out about it? But basically, this is a great article from Medium and documenting Bitcoin, published it today. And basically it says it's more than gold. It appreciates faster than property. Its supply is fixed, unlike stocks and bonds. And its payment network is faster and cheaper than Visa's. Like, what else does this thing do? But it does a lot more. So it's also the most secure network. It uses things like trapped energy that would otherwise go to waste. And some people call it like a railway network in cyberspace. It's more mobile than gold, and yada, yada, yada. You guys get it. So Bitcoin has won. Today is a memorable day, hence the t-shirt. Camera's flipped, so it's all backwards. So I'm just very, very excited despite the weakness. Now, in terms of Plan B, he stands by his prediction of $100,000 by Christmas. Still stands, and he is as bullish as ever. And he did say, amazingly, in a tweet back in August, I think it was, that there could be a 43K floor, which ties in directly to a Fibonacci level, which is why I had my limit price there, just in case it hit, and it hit today. So well done, Plan B. We trust you. In Plan B, we trust. It should be a t-shirt. Anyway, thank you for that. I hope he's watching. Pure form, always. So a lot of questions come in. Okay, Bitcoin ETFs are coming. What should I do? Or is it better just to buy Bitcoin? As you've always heard me say, pure form, pure form, pure form, always, no matter what it is. Proxies come second, unless you can leverage the proxies, like with call options on MicroStrategy. Then that's an exception. But here, this is a cool article. And the point is, if you have an ETF with a 1% fee, or sometimes a little higher than that, you got to imagine that this will cost you $10 in annual fees for every $1,000 you have invested. But what does it mean exactly? So here's a little bit of math. Of course, we have some numbers. So imagine you invest for 25 years. What can 2% cost you? So basically a 2% fee over 25 years in a typical 401k can cost you $170,000 of your $430,000 return that you would otherwise get with a no cost, no fee solution. And basically, the reason for this, and it may sound crazy, but this is assuming a 7% return on investment for 25 years with small, layering in money over time. But the fee eats away a huge amount. Now, if you take an asset like Bitcoin that can go from, say, $43,000 today to $1 million in 5 or 10 years, and you are paying a 2% fee on that or a 1% fee on that, those fees that you're paying compound to be a huge amount. Therefore, I always think pure form. But do the math yourselves and let me know what you think of that. So next thing, a little bit of precautionary news. September 14th, 2021, coincidentally, is a key number of days after all-time highs. So typically what happens is the crypto market after halving lasts about, I think it's 289 days. And considering the date of the last halving, the 289-day period will take us to September 14th, 2021. So if you look at this chart here, that's the green line. We are a couple of weeks away. It's coincidental, in fact, that I estimate the golden cross for Bitcoin to be about 910, 911, 912, which coincidentally as well coincides with Alonso's launch date. We'll talk about in a minute too. So there's a whole confluence of weird dates all happening at the same time. But imagine Gold Cross and September 14th happened at the same time. So the point is, history has shown that typically this is when the all-time high is hit. However, I do believe firmly that we are still in the bull market. And part of the reason for that is we did lose 3 months because of the Chinese mining ban. And that has now been fully digested by the markets, hash rates coming back and everything else. And price follows the hash rate. So I believe we still have a long way to go. And I believe this is a very different market. And I believe the effect of the halving is halving every 4 years. So it'll have less impact. And institutions are coming in and they're buying. And we have countries. And maybe Panama next, then Uruguay, then Kazakhstan, who knows what. So it's just like nothing but bullishness. So don't be too freaked out by that. Now, a little bit of flippening news. Well, first Doge and now XRP. Solana flipped XRP briefly. It went back, and I think I'm right on the cusp now of where it could be. But basically, I think that is super, super interesting that this Solana machine is just a beast. And I know you guys are tired of talking about it, so I'm not even going to talk anymore about Solana. But I'm going to talk about Cardano. And this is Cardano today. It went down to $2.02. And if you look at the chart, it doesn't look pretty, although everything was hit really, really hard today. A lot of people are calling for Cardano to hit $5 in September after its rally in early August up to mid-August. But with the current flash crash, the digital asset is now down 18 to 20% of its value, I think. And it is on this weird downward trend now for the last 2 or 3 weeks, which doesn't look pretty. So we'll see what happens. There should be a ton of bullish momentum up till Alonso launch. But no, there's more FUD out there as well. Now, I did post something last week, and it apparently was substantiated about a failed DEX test. But here is some more news as well. Some concerns with Cardano smart contracts being able to handle multiple agents. Hit boiling point per this article. But basically, there's something about one transaction per block criticism that the IOHK and Charles are sick of hearing about. So the smart contracts they believe are ready for rollout in less than a week at this stage. But the real issue here is somewhere deep in the testnet phase. There was a quirk in the EUTXO model that may lead to some issues of concurrency. So I think they're going to figure that out, but that might be related to why things crashed last week. But we're 6 days away, so we're a little bit close. That's Cardano news. Now, back to flippening models, since we're on the topic. Here's another flip model that we have. This is the one we calculated where we are today. Now, 18 hours ago, I tweeted this when the market cap of Solana was 58% that of Cardano. Right now, it's 64%. This model updates itself automatically, which is pretty cool. And Solana is catching up to the market cap of Cardano way faster than I ever imagined. And again, that was always my day one thesis for investing heavily in Solana. But I reckon as well, per this model, and it's a bit of a broad brushstroke, but it depends exactly on many, many factors. But I think somewhere between Solana, for it to flip Cardano, will hit the price of about $257 to $427 approximately, but it depends exactly how far Cardano runs, or if it runs at all. And I assume Cardano will run to $4 if they have a successful launch. If not, this could happen real fast. So watch this space, everybody. Now, in other incredibly bullish news for Ethereum, British banking giant Standard & Chartered new report shows it's more bullish than ever on Ethereum, way more than Bitcoin. So the bank expects Bitcoin to increase 3x from current levels, up to 150k, but it expects Ethereum to go up 10x. And the bank values the Bitcoin price range up to 175k over medium to long term, and Ether up to 35,000. So I thought that was pretty bullish. And they also see Ethereum as a standard store of value, just like Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. But 10x from current levels, that'd be sweet. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, in other news, we have the race to $9 and 9,000, which is kind of related, but unrelated to kind of flippening. But George and I were discussing this, and I posed the question, well, what's going to happen first? Will Cardano hit $9 or Ethereum 9,000? And this is another tracker. And so far, you can see Ethereum is a little bit in the lead, despite a big hit today, but Cardano took more of a hit. So we'll watch this carefully as well as we go forward. Now let's talk a little bit about the macro backdrop, which is so important to Bitcoin. And another reason for Bitcoin's demand increasing is beyond being the new gold, digital gold, and the old one sucking wind over the last 11 years. But it's also the movement of the dollar index, and it's falling at a time when the likes of gold and Bitcoin are rising a little bit. Gold hasn't really moved yet. But the key is, when you look at this backdrop and you look at the reports from Fidelity of Bitcoin going to $1 million by 2026, it kind of makes sense. But let's go a little bit deeper. Thanks to the Greenback, aka the US dollar, you can see here, this is an interesting chart again from Fidelity. These guys are all over Bitcoin and gold, but you can see basically the money supply. And if you compare the Bitcoin market cap combined with gold's market cap, it adds up to about 59% of the M2 money supply, which is interesting. And you can see the history of how it actually has been volatile. But I do see that going back to 95%, but it'll be driven heavily by increases in market cap of Bitcoin, not gold. That's another model, the flippening of gold. It was a little bit further out before that happens. So we'll see. And in final news, which is kind of another bit of macro news we all have to keep our eyes on, and you've heard me since day one talk about inflation, how the dollar's going to get crushed, but this is a report from Luke Groman, and he knows his stuff. But basically he says the debt to GDP will likely weaken the dollar. And what he means by this is, if you look at the debt to GDP right now in the US, it's about 130%. It's not as high as in Europe, but it's getting there. But it's going to be very, very difficult to recover from this without a weakening of the currency, is his whole thesis. And he also said that things like negative real rates are going to happen. And for those of you who don't know, negative real rates are when inflation rate outpaces the interest rates. So a little quiz for the comments below. If the federal funds rate is 2% and the inflation rate is 15%, per my estimation, what is the real negative interest rate? And what do you think that does to your pocketbook, your savings, your bank account, the cash that you have? Let me know in the comments below. I'm interested in what you guys have learned from me so far. And in very sad news, one of our members got scammed. And I always say this, don't give anything to anybody. And I make a joke like, even if it's your mom, don't trust her. You never know unless you're talking to somebody face to face. Be very, very, very careful. But now we're expanding this to don't trust anything from anyone. So this is a sad situation. Somebody, and it takes a long time to accumulate 6 digits of wealth. Sometimes it takes people a lifetime to do it. But I say it takes a lifetime to earn your money and a second to lose it. So you've got places like Telegram. I always talked about being a scammer haven. So are places like Reddit. Reddit, you can get some good articles, but don't hang around there and don't trust anybody there. Okay, so basically somebody went to Reddit looking for help. They gave them a link to a strange wallet. Boom, cleaned out. So again, I'm going to repeat this because it's so important and people are getting scammed. Don't give anything to anybody and don't take anything from anyone. All right? Even if they're a friend of yours, they might be themselves scammed by some fake link. And only use trusted hot wallets, trusted exchanges, all that stuff. Only go with the big names. All right? That's it. And anything that we have vetted and approved in our exchange review are legit. Everything else, be careful of. So that's it. I'm going to open up to Q&A and hope everybody's doing good. Let me switch camera a second. And hope we have everything good and hope everybody's okay considering exactly what went down. And sorry about those grief tidings, as they say, with the scammer news. They are everywhere. And because the prices are increasing and because there's now this frenzy FOMO time, everybody's a victim. Everybody wants to rush to get rich quick and they're making mistakes and it's costing money. So big thank you for the donations as well. Jeff Hammerberg and Bombiggy, you guys are so generous. Thank you so much. Darnell Packer, Near Protocol went up 30%, 38% today. Did we miss the buy signal? We looked at Near Protocol and it didn't. Let me see. It didn't score for us as being an investable asset, I'm afraid. So it's not something I even watch. Again, we tend to be extremely focused on fewer names, less is more in this business, and only pick the highest caliber projects. Doesn't matter if they're small or big, but they got to be very well geared with very good use cases. So Darnell, I don't watch Near Protocol because it doesn't qualify. Max Alto, yeah, Phantom Iridium. We've checked the tokenomics and both on the Crypto Compendium, and I'm afraid none of them qualify. And again, this goes back to my previous point. Pure Form by Solana. The tokenomics of these programs are not good at all. Broke Bank Vegan, you were too kind, and you were in my earlier video today. You're very, very generous. So our main holding is BTC 30%. 33, Sol 31%, Ethereum 21%, Cardano 9%. Given ADA's weakness, we are thinking of transferring out into our top 3 as we bought it less than $1. Thoughts? Yes. Maybe wait for it to get to $3, see what happens on September 12th. But the weakness now is staggering. It should definitely be kind of like a buy the rumor or buy the pre-launch type time frame, and it's been shockingly weak. And I'm sensing smoke. And as you guys know, I've got a keen sense for smoke. And when there's smoke, there's fire. And if this launch does not go well, it could easily go back to $1. And I don't want to get any hate from that from the Cardano army out there, but I want to see it work. And I want to see it work faster than Solana and more cheaper than Solana. And if that happens, then I'll buy into Cardano. But right now, my Solana bag is like 17, 18, 19 times the size of my Cardano bag, and I vote with my wallet. So I hope that helps. And also my upside target is kind of $3.50 to $4 for Cardano. So at $3 a few days ago, it wasn't that far from my targets anyway. Eduardo Marquez, are there any projects in the Solana ecosystem currently worth investing in? Anything you like? Great question, Eduardo. That was the first place I looked. I tore apart the ecosystem. I looked at every single project and I could find nothing as good as having Solana itself. And what concerns me is things like centralization and tokenomics and inflation and all that stuff. And they all have those earmarks. Again, you're not buying Solana when you are investing in the ecosystem. You're buying projects running on their platform. And it doesn't mean they are as high caliber as Solana. So I'm afraid I didn't find anything, and that's why I bought Solana today at 135, I think, 135.1. Had a limit order, got filled beautifully, and I know people had a lot of complaints about Coinbase and other exchanges like Gemini being down and Kraken, but I say I traded on Coinbase Pro, no problems, and also I got fills in FTX. So they were all working fine for me at the time of the dip. Maybe after the dip, things went a bit crazy. Jack Fielding, for the animals. I'm 21. Thank you, Jack, and honored you're here. And I love when young people are taking the time to learn, because this will be very life-changing for you. Last night, my portfolio broke above 100K. Thanks to your help. I have 5K on the sidelines. Thoughts on what to buy with it? Of course, not financial advice. Well, I can't tell you what to do, but what I bought today was I bought Bitcoin, I bought Matic, and I bought Solana, all at the bottom dips. I have about, at any one time, probably more than 6 digits in limit orders placed across multiple exchanges, and I just wait for my traps to fill. And these are the ones that I wanted to buy at those prices, and they're the ones that filled. So that's what I did today, and congratulations for doing so well. But remember as well, be careful with that. You've made a lot of money. There could come a time when things, like I mentioned in the presentation right now, there are some signs that could, 5 or 10% chance, mean that September 14th and the month of September could be rocky. So just be very careful out there as well. As they say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Take profits when you can, or at least take your initial money off the table. Arnell Jackson, crypto. Isn't the issue Bitcoin is just envious of all altcoin gains? No, not at all. In fact, the people buying altcoins are very different to the people buying Bitcoin. The people buying Bitcoin, they kind of know the game. Again, you got to look at alpha and beta. Alpha is your return and beta is your risk. Bitcoin is the lowest risk asset of the next 10 years. And everything else is higher risk and, of course, higher returns. So you saw that as well with the way some of the alts fell. Bitcoin drops, 13 to 18%. A ton of them dropped 35, 40%. So that's the volatility cuts both ways, up and down. But I don't think that is the problem. And again, pristine asset, extremely scant supply. Ewarragan 25, I hope I got that right. Are you still bullish on DOT year-end price? No, I'm not. Changing out of DOT and Algorand, but finalizing some things to affirm that. But much prefer projects like Matic, as I just mentioned before. We put together a new model, and it looks at smart contract platforms, and that scored incredibly well. We expected things like DOT to do really well. It didn't, but we looked at all the metrics. Now, just because our models say things are bad doesn't mean the market won't go up, and because a lot of people don't see what we see. But when we look at the medium term and long term for these projects, it's not good with what the model spits out. So I hope that's clear. Chetsar, my Cardano profit has doubled since I first invested. Everybody has, I hope, even after going to $2 today. I'm thinking about taking half and buying some more Matic and Solana. Thoughts? Yes, just affirmed it above in the previous questions. Chetsar, that is a good plan. Again, maybe there's a 10, 15, 20% chance that September 12th will be a huge success. And there'll be tons of DEXs and dApps building on Cardano, and it'll scale like a scolded cat. It'll do over 65,000 transactions per second at fractions of pennies of cost. We'll see. If that happens, Cardano could go to $10. But we have to see it be better than Solana, and I'm 90% convinced it's not. So that's just my thesis. Miscellaneous blog. Can you check out Illuvium? I have invested quite a bit recently. Their staking situation and tokenomics are pristine as I've ever seen. I did look at Illuvium, and let me check and refresh myself. Yeah, overall, it's a little bit too small, ranked to like 191, but it does score well. It's in the top third of all projects. So that is, but it's not in the stable of 10 that we look at. Like, we want to get behind 10 horses and monitor them carefully. Like, for example, Avalanche, got into Avalanche at $10 and layered in a little bit more and sold it at 47.5, 48 over the weekend. So, these things run a certain length and then you get out, and we monitor that very carefully. And the money from Avalanche went into Solana today, so on the retire on crypto portfolio as well. So that's kind of how we play the game. But Illuvium is not as good as some of the other projects, but we will check the chart, because if it does tank and becomes very cheap and there's good upside for a triple, that's what we look for, 3x, and then we'll check it out. Alex, Muscleman, did I miss the Sol train today? Yeah, if you didn't have a limit order. But let me check on the recent price. It's just gone down a bit. When I started, it shot up to nearly 180 or hit 180, and it is consolidating back again. You know, the whole market's trying to figure out what to do. They're looking at the big 800-pound gorilla, which is Bitcoin. Like, what's Bitcoin going to do next? Is Bitcoin going to go back to 50K? I think it will. It's just things need to settle down. A lot of people were liquidated. The whales are trying to figure out their next positions. But I think Solana could have a bumpy night. We might see 160 again. Maybe in the high 150s, low 150s. And just be ready then with your finger on the trigger, as they say. Voodoo Ray, did your team research my Twitter DM about Morpheus Network? Big news. Morpheus. Oh, Let me see. When I hear names like that, let me see. I don't even see it. It's not on the top 300, so. Network coin. Give me 1 second. And there's so many. They got a cool logo. I'll give them that much. And I did check them out. Circulating supply is good. Is good. 1 year. Hold on a second. Yeah, number 404. So it's too small. It's too small for me. Chart doesn't look good, but everything else looks fine. The tokenomics from the outside looking in look okay. Jeremiah, I'll have another quick look at that. I added an asterisk to it, but it's normally we don't play outside the top 300 unless it's something really, really compelling. And there's space therein. Logistics and payments. There's 100 companies going after logistics, so the space doesn't get me excited. I want platforms that go after $100 trillion addressable markets. That's kind of our play. Safe, risk-averse stuff. Jeremiah Cars, can we discuss mover tokenomics? I saw it mentioned as not great in a model earlier today. Yeah, it was really bad. I remember we looked at it. It's one of the few I looked at today. And I can't pull up the data right now. It's not on my fingertips. But yeah, when I did dig in, it did not look good at all. So sorry about that. And again, I think it's also a little bit too small. Let me just check one. See if I can remember anything. Because I'm looking at... Oh, yeah. Moon River. I remember now. Yeah, complete. Yeah, it's just red flags all over the place. No. So I can't tell you. We look at 10 different quant signals, and it fell flat on 4 of them out of the gate. So we don't even look at the other 6 when the first 4 are so bad. So I don't know who's telling you to buy Moon River, but it's a bunch of ugly as far as I'm concerned. And that doesn't mean it won't pop. Dogecoin pops. So you never know in this game, but we like safe, risk-free assets, or as risk-free as possible. Craig Martinez, 43% Bitcoin, 26% Sol, 22% ETH. Haha, your Sol overtook your ETH. Good job. What would you add? I would add Matic and a little chain link for safety. And try get your Bitcoin above 50%. That's the way I would structure it. But nice job on the Sol. I wonder, are those percentages the same today, or when you put those percentages together? If they're alive, that's really, really impressive. Luther St. James, I have 50 a lot of these ones. Oh my god, it's all portfolios. 50% Bitcoin, whole coin reached. Good job. 25% Cardano, 20% Voyager. Ooh, yeah, risky stuff here. It's never too late for Sol. I think, Sol is definitely going 250, 350, 450. If the market really explodes and the Ethereum target I spoke about goes to 35,000, like Standard and Charters think it can, I mean, we're looking at $1,000 plus Solana, even after it doing 8x, 10x gains. So, but yeah, your 50% of your portfolio in those two names, like Cardano and VGX, I would never do that. So, and I looked at VGX. I like the company stock, not the token. Max Alto, I currently have 10K invested in crypto with 20% in Bitcoin, 35% in Solana, 40% in ETH. Getting all these questions. And none of this is investment advice, everybody. I'm about to add another 5K. Any thoughts, new percentage-wise? You're too low on Bitcoin. Your Sol and ETH are kind of... ETH would be on the high side. I'd think about... yeah, you need more Bitcoin, and I put one or two other good cryptos in there. A little bit of Matic, a little bit of Chainlink for safety. And a lot of people now are talking about Chainlink. I saw like 3 or 4 videos over the past 3 or 4 days talking about Chainlink to Bitcoin ratios and stuff like that. Chainlink needs to be compared to Ethereum. That's what it runs on, not Bitcoin. But I know they're probably trying to find another metric to look like something else. But anyway, that's what I do, Max Alto. Hope that helps. And DL, good to see you again. What do you think we should take profits on Sol or ETH in Q1 or hold for the long term? I don't need the money, but want to be wise. Yeah, I think it's so hard to say because we don't know how high it's going to go and where everything else is going to go. So I don't anticipate this market will move in tandem like it has in previous bull runs. I think it's going to be all over the place. You're going to have some assets running like crazy. Like the relative strength to other assets of Solana is like nothing I've ever seen. It's in its own world. And I think people are beginning to realize, okay, this is really something. And everybody wants a piece. And there's not a lot of supply out there. So it's hard to say. If Solana becomes the ETH killer, which I believe it has a 20% chance of doing, then it could be half of ETH's market cap in 2 or 3 years. That's when you want to hold. But stay tuned for those updates. We track all things that basically indicate how much the smart contract platform is being adopted and utilized, and transactions per second and TVL and fees and all that type of stuff. And then we'll let you know exactly where this thing is going. Ara Hanazarian, I have 50k ADA and I want to swap for another better performing assets. How would you go about doing this? That's a nice big bag of Cardano. What I would do is, it was in a Q&A about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It was an exiting Cardano model that I shared and how to layer up your exits based on Fibonacci levels. And I think that would be a good plan, Ara, to do. But just take your 50k, break it into 5 slices, 10k a piece, and layer them in. Sell the first tranche at, say, $3, second tranche at $3.29, third tranche at $3.89, whatever the case may be. And then be ready to slot that into other assets that are a little bit kind of relatively undervalued. So that's how I play the game. But you need to compare the exits to the actual charts and resistance levels, and make sure you're just under those levels to be able to get your fills. Tony Polk, plan to take 50% profit in December, January. Questions: where should I hold? USDC, USDT, DAI? I would put everything in USDC. I actually moved some stuff to USDC today. And holding cold storage or stake in Celsius or Voyager. Yeah, you stake either place. I actually stake in both places right now because I don't want all my eggs in one basket. And they both have their pros and cons. And actually, we could even do a video on that as an idea of the pros and cons of Celsius versus Voyager. You got to look at the asset and you got to look at the withdrawal fees. Very, very important. So when you're pulling stuff out of Voyager, it can be expensive. And that I got a bad taste in my mouth from that. But I'm enjoying very much the stuff I parked in there. In fact, I moved Chainlink to Voyager for some yield 1 or 2 weeks ago. Juju, John, Bitcoin is plan B, crypto is plan C. I like it. That's a cool name. Thanks to you, I bought Solana at 19. Whoa! Should I sell my 40 Sol for 2 ETH? I only have 1 ETH and half Bitcoin. No, you hold your Sol. You don't let that go. So ETH could go crazy, but Solana will probably go crazier. Despite its crazy run, you got to look at the relative market caps. I think call Solana market cap now about $50 billion. And you have Ethereum market cap today is 400 billion. So that's 8x. So technically, my whole thesis was We're definitely going to see 20% of ETH market cap, which is $80 billion. We're at 50 now, so that's another 65% upside on ETH. But remember, ETH is going to run too. It's going to run to $8,000, $9,000. And when that happens, the Solana 20% ratio will go up as well. So hold your Solana for now. Let it run. Let the winners run always. Never sell good stuff early, too early. Can you give a deep dive in Elrond? 1/16th market cap of Solana, and arguably just as good tech, tokenomics, etc. I had many looks into that on Elrond, and there was a few little things that I didn't like that didn't make them as good as Solana, and the fact that it ran before I could catch it. Again, I like to get in early and have a really low average cost base and not chase stuff that's already run. So I see, and also did a detailed analysis of how Elrond matches up against the top 20 smart contract platforms. Nothing beats Solana. So arguably, if you want, in my opinion, no. It's not as good as Solana. But it could be cheap. If it did take a beating, let's check right now. Because I do have an entry buy order on Elrond. And I know it got nowhere near it. Let me just see where that is right now. Yeah. My buy limit on Elrond is at $101. It only went to 135 today, so it's still far away. But I wouldn't be buying unless it was $101. So hope that helps a little bit. Philip, Swapmatic for DOT, upcoming parachains. No, we had a hard look at Polkadot. I still have a Polkadot bag, but I am layering into Matic now, more so. It is more adoption, more TVL, more transactions, etc. Or Solana. Yes, if you could buy Solana at 135 to 150, get it, because it's going straight to 200. So that's going to move faster than anything else, and it's proven that. And it's now got the attention of the world. People aren't talking about Polkadot. The world is talking about Solana. So think of the Dogecoin effect. I always talk about the importance of social and that big megaphone that it gives the platform. Nobody's talking about Cardano. Nobody's talking about Polkadot. Nobody's talking about Algorand. Everybody's talking about Solana. Everybody. So that's what I'd say. Titty Blues, how are you? Do you think we reached the bottom or more downtrend can be expected next few days? BTC ETH. I covered, if you see my TA video from earlier today, I did about 3 hours ago. I do believe there could be a second last gasp effort for market manipulation that could try push Bitcoin down to 43K. So if the whales sold their bags and haven't gotten them all fully back yet, they're going to try and manipulate one more time and bring it down. It always happens in twos when they do this. So there could be one, and expect it at a time when volume is very low, which is typically around, for me, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 hours from now. So it's around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Pacific time. I don't know what time that is in Korea, if that's where you are. But yeah, check that out. They might have another stab, and they need to do it quick while the market's still fragile. They can't wait a week. So we'll see. And I've got my fingers on the trigger to do that and get in there. Let's have a quick look and see. Like, Bitcoin has been so flat right now over the last couple of hours. It's stunning me, quite frankly. So we'll see. Yeah, but be ready to accumulate a little bit more. And again, anytime you see Solana in the 130s, just grab it. And it's crazy to think you could buy it at $22 on the 22nd of June. That's why I remember those numbers. The 22nd of June, $22 was the price of Solana. Mad. Okay, Scipio Zama, how are you? My girlfriend found a $700 in XRP in an old wallet and converted to Link. Good move. Yes. I hope she did it before today because XRP took a big hit today. She already has a small sell position. Yeah, that's super safe. And if she's not that experienced, you don't want her to get burned with the dangerous stuff. But, you know, she has a solid position, which is great. So she gets to see the excitement of that. And Chainlink will do very well. Again, my target for Chainlink is about $75. And it's under 29 last time I looked. It's 27, 28. So, yeah, congratulations to you guys, you little crypto family. Ian Knighton, when are you doing a video on Elrond? I I only do videos and things that I would invest in now, because I don't want, anytime I do a video and I don't buy a project, I get a lot of hate on the internet, and I'm tired of the hate. I don't need the hate. So I just do videos and things that I believe are worthwhile investing in. So now, from now on, if I do a video on should I buy, you can be pretty certain I bought it, or I will buy it. So I hope that helps. But life is too short to deal with the hate on the internet, so I just say screw it. I'm not going to do that. Now, I did look at Elrond, and we found some things. So again, if I'm buying tons of Matic and I'm not buying Elrond, there's a reason for that. And that's what I did today. Thank you for your donations as well. Mac Crypto 88, you can't ignore Quant forever. I've looked at it time and time and time again. It's really, really good, but it's also very expensive for what it is. Danny Wright, thank you. JKS and Pi 3.14. Mike Mancuso, Chadwick, thank you as always. And Rupert Runovich, Paul Yost, Stefan Dolphin, George Texas, Danny Wright, Kumo Otoko 0, Titty Blues, Tukan Mojo, and Flying Albatross 13, and David McGee. By the way, we're going to do a little video of all the animals we sponsored. We're trying to get all of the photographs of them all framed, just to show you guys what you're... Oh my god, Howard is back. Howard, you are too much, my friend. But I hope you're... Oh. Uh-oh. Only lost 320k today. Thanks, Hex. Howard, you should know better than being Hex, okay? I know it's been bonkers and you've made great returns, but just buy a big bag of, I don't know, Solana and other things, a little safer. But Howard, you are so grateful of all you do. Token up, thanks Hex. 70% last 7 days, delay of gratification. Get the kill shot, not ivermectin. Thin the herd, sail silent yachts. Oh, and thanks, Sol. Smile life is good. Good man. I hope you have a very big bag of Solana and keep it secure. Don't give anything to anybody and don't trust anybody. I think you're smarter than that, though. And be careful of Hex. Be careful of Hex RP. These things are all very dangerous. Shob Farhat, $100. Thanks for the kids. For the animals, for the kids, children's hospitals as well. We're going to do more of as well. So a big thank you as well to Howard and Shob. Really, really appreciate it. We're very touched. And we now have a person dedicated full-time to finding animals to sponsor. So almost full-time, I should say. Chad G, terrifying that 1 million BTC could be 300k in purchasing power in 2030 at 15% inflation. Yes, you saw my numbers from... Was that Sunday? I think it was Sunday. Will the price of Bitcoin keep pace with inflation as the Fed prints, or do we need 6x my BTC bag to keep up with debasement? That's a great question, Chad. And I got all the Chads. I got 3 Chads in this community. So basically, when you look at the debasement of Bitcoin and assuming things like my 15% inflation number, yes, the numbers are staggering. But when you look at people like Robert Breedlove, he says Bitcoin's going to $12.5 million by the year 2031. And you look at the Fidelity guys, $7 million by 2027. I am very, 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 very conservative in my price predictions because I don't want anybody to ever come back and say, oh, you said 5 years ago it would be at this price. So in that case, if things are going the way I think they're going to go, and I'm actually running on an M2 money supply and money printing Fed balance sheet model to calculate exactly, with the GDP to debt ratios and the amount of growth that's required and negative real rates, what that will mean for inflation going forward. It's going to be staggering, but they have to keep money printing, and that's a simple thing. The other thing as well, they're not going to taper. They can't taper right now with the poor employment numbers. So don't worry about that. Bitcoin will be just fine, and it's just going to go crazy. And remember, even if Bitcoin only goes up 30% per year for the next 9 or 10 years, that still takes it to way over $1 million. So think about that, and it's been going up over 200% year over year for 11 years. Zabjuda, read Dot, how does your new model account for all-star power chains, slot auctions, crowd loans, bonded Dot power chains, lease periods? It sort of does, but it looks at growth rates, it looks at adoption and TVL and how much those platforms are being adopted. So far, a lot of this stuff is new. It hasn't taken in. I haven't sold Polkadot, but I'm not buying it on this dip. So that is a very, very good point. And it's hard. It's very hard to place monetary values in a quantum model on things that haven't happened yet. So we have a very, very keen eye on exactly what's going to happen, but we don't know where it's going to go. It's like saying, well, how many dApps will there be on Cardano in the next 12 months? We don't know. How much TVL will be locked up? We don't know. So there's just so many unknowns. But when you look at the trajectory of adoption for things like Solana, it's very easy to figure out. And same with Ethereum. The OC agent. If Sol is an ETH killer, do you think that there's a chance that it will ever supplant Ethereum altogether? Yes. Yeah, if Ethereum doesn't nail Ethereum 2.0 in January or end of December, bye-bye Ethereum. It'll take a while because so much runs off Ethereum right now. And the layer 2 solutions like Matic, so like Matic, are making it really pipe. I mean, if you want to buy an NFT, do it using Matic, and we got to figure out that because it got some charity NFTs going as well. But yeah, that will happen. It could definitely happen. But you know, as I also say, technology in the space is developing so fast. There could be a Sol killer out there. It just hasn't been built yet. So we'll see. Somebody's mother, you are. Second time I've seen you today. Thank you for being here. Do you think we're looking at another situation where we fall in increments to similar lows as a couple of months ago? Or do you think this was an example of a leverage liquidation and manipulation? P.S. Sol is fire. It sure is. Yeah, I think as far as I'm concerned, this is temporary. I mean, the adoption is going crazy. You've got everybody's buying Bitcoin. I don't see this as being a going back to the 30,000 level at all. Not by no stretch. And even now we're at 47,000. So people, and I don't know, maybe it's human nature and, you know, once bitten, twice shy. People tend to psychologically freak out. It's the reptile brain in the heads. Humans, we all have it, and that's how we protect ourselves. But after being burnt for those 11 weeks down at the 30K level, we just think, oh, we're going back here again. Oh no. But 95% of all the indicators I look at still have a bullish upward sign. And September is historically a weak month. So in the brains of investors, they think, oh, it's weak, therefore it's going to go down. Like, I can't tell you how many people are calling for 20K, 25K, 30K Bitcoin again. But when I look at the floor, we hit the floor today at 43K. Boom. That's when you jump in and buy. If it hits 43 again, buy. Not financial advice, of course. But that's what I would do. So, no, I don't think there's anything like what we had before. And if we get through a week and El Salvador is a success, that's it. There's going to be 100 dominoes are going to fall in the next year. Mike Mancuso, is Coinbase required to compensate users for trades that were erroneously cancelled, executed the wrong price, crashing during peak window? Yeah, it's funny because I had some reports of that. People, I did a trade alert on Solana on Patreon today, and I did it in real time, literally 30 to 60 seconds after I got my fill, and people weren't getting their fills on Coinbase. So something is suspicious. Now, I don't want to think that Coinbase is playing games that's like, ooh, I shouldn't have sold that Solana to that guy at $135. Maybe I'll reverse the transaction and take it back, sell to somebody at $150. I can make more money that way. These games have happened in the past. I'm sure people will be able to find out and investigate. But there was some definitely very suspicious stuff going on at Coinbase. And their outages, I mean, it's just suspicious. And that's why I'm so happy I have FTX as well for my active trading. And they have all the tokens I need too. So, not shilling. There is a referral code. Any referral revenue goes to charity, but FTX doesn't pay anything anyway, so it's not even worth it. So I didn't mention it. Okay, Stephen Salmon. Have you researched Rose, straight out of Cornell, like Chainlink and Avalanche? Just sold Avalanche. Chainlink I like, and Cornell, a very good school. Let me have a quick look and have a see. I know it's not in the top 300 because it doesn't ring a bell. Oasis Network. And, ooh, yeah, it's no bueno. It's mark ranked 148. I don't know. I will have a quick, let me check one thing make sure. Because what I've learned is about 1 in 20. Yeah, no, it's unrated. I have an X on it. We will dig in and see if there's anything there. Okay. So Stephen, thank you so much for that. Ghost Picks Jimmy. I'm frequently transferring ETH or BTC to Sol and some altcoins. Is this okay with taxes or should I not do this? Yeah, be careful. It depends where you are. If you're like in New York or California earning over $250,000, $500,000 a year, you could be paying over 50% on short-term capital gains. So be very aware of that. So do your tax math. There's a lot of good estimators. It's not hard to figure out online, and check that out. But you don't want too much friction with your trading because it's just a pain and it's very, very costly. Jacob Willett, just put up 20k in fetch.ai. Did I just mess up? I looked at fetch. I didn't like it and I don't remember why. Yeah, it was in the top 45th percentile. So I won't even look deeper unless it's in the top third of all the top 300 cryptos. But it is an interesting play. And let me see what the chart did today. All the charts I'm sure are very ugly today. And I do have it here. Hang on. Fetch. No, it's doing really well, it looks like. Yeah, you look like you're, I don't know when you put your money in, but it looks like you're crushing it. That is on fire today. That's interesting. There's not much, actually, let me see. There's not much green today. Access, fetch, happy. Yeah, good job. Yeah, and even though things don't score well in our models, it doesn't mean the market won't pump them. So, no, Jake, good job. Apana Shatranda, I'm considering putting $1,000 into Sol at the current price. Should I wait or just buy and hodl? Right now, I would. Again, I like it down the 135s to 150s. So if you get a hit down there, I would go for it. Let me see exactly what it's doing right now. 170, a little bit of weakness. It could be going down to like a 165 level. Even at 165, it might be worth a little nibble. If you don't have any, take 1/3 of your $1,000, buy some at 165, some at 160, and some at 155 or 151 or something like that. Pick out your little spreads. Try find some limit levels. Watch my video from earlier today and you'll see how you can do that on a chart and it'll get you really good entry prices. But not financial advice, just what I would do if I didn't have any Solana. DS, your thoughts on Telos? Just enter the top 300 and has the best DeFi demo. I know that we had a look at Telos as well, but it also, no, it's not in the, it's not on the model. There, you know, does Telos coin? Ooh. Number 261. Medium exchange, NFT play. There's so many of those. I mean, I think 90% of what people ask me to look for are these medium of exchange and NFT type companies, and they're 100 a penny. So I would just stick with the big guys. I can't see anything. It's not in the model, so I can't tell you more than that. But just be very careful. It's ranked 280 or whatever, so I would be very careful. Jason Staub, I have 55 ETH and 2 Bitcoin. Is now a good time to swap some ETH for 1 more Bitcoin? I'm in this for the long haul. I like your ratios. So my ratios for Bitcoin to ETH is always 30 to 1. So if you have 1 Bitcoin, you should have 30 ETH. So if 2 Bitcoin, 60 ETH, etc. But what I would do is maybe consider lightening that. If you wanted to take 5 ETH off of your bag and stick it into Solana if you don't have any, that's what I would do. Just in case it's a hedge against your ETH not delivering an ETH 2.0. And I like to hedge stuff. So that's the way I would think. But take some of that information and pen and paper and look at price predictions and figure out exactly where these things could go. And they'll give you your answer there. But I'd hold the Bitcoin. Having 2 is amazing. So congratulations on that. And SB, how and when can I join your Discord group? Please open up the Discord membership for us. This is so hard. So the idea behind this is not to monetize it, but to keep it small and intimate. And we had situations where people were joining and stealing our models and building their own channels and stuff like that. And the way this works is if the data is kept to a select group, if everybody has the same data, nobody can make money. But if a smaller group has unique data and a data edge, then they can make money. And that's one of the reasons we keep it small. But we'll put something to the community. It's a complete democracy. I ask them, they vote on everything, how we donate to, should we cap tiers and all that type of stuff. So I'll put it to vote and see what we can do. We might create a tier level for new people that weren't able to get in, but I don't see things like the capitalist tier expanding at all. Jono, is a true link isn't needed to use the network? I don't know what network you're talking about, but if you're running a smart contract and you need an oracle, you need link. So I'm not sure I really understand that, Jono, but I don't know. And it shouldn't be too hard to find out. But if you could rephrase that, let me know. Adrian Cardoza, plans to review any Solana projects like Radium? Yeah, I looked at them all. I looked at Radium and Serum, etc., all of the top 5 or 6 Solana network platform plays, and they were all terrible. So a lot of them are doing very well, but the tokenomics suck. And it goes back to the pure form is always the safer bet. So just buy Solana. Don't dabble with the stuff on the periphery. It's like buying Bitcoin Cash instead of Bitcoin. Fireman, I have 13 ETH, 24,000 Matic, and 50 Quant. I'm about to have 100k more available to invest. Well, first of all, lock down your security because you got big bags, so be careful. That's a hard question. Well, first of all, if you have no Bitcoin, you need some Bitcoin. And with those types of, like 13 ETH, you should have at least half a Bitcoin. 24,000 Matic, 50 Quant. Let me check the price of Quant right now. Let's see where it is. 348. Yeah, you've got an even spread. Yeah, I would. You're missing Bitcoin, you're missing Solana. So if you have 100,000 more, that's where I put it. With a little, well, you have a lot of Matic already. And Quant is doing okay, but it's not something I bought. So Fireman, hope that helps. But that's for safety and to balance the high risk nature of your portfolio, especially Matic and Quant. You need to layer in some safer stuff. You might even throw in a little bit of Chainlink there as well. It may not perform as fast as some of the others, but it'll be a lot safer. Okay. Eric Wag, could you elaborate a bit more on your recent bullishness on Matic and or bearishness on KCM Avalanche? Avalanche was because of a big unlock that happened at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Those tokens will hit the market probably. But I'd be buying Avalanche again in the low 30s. I nearly bought today, but I bought Solana instead. Matic is just so much adoption, so much going for it, and it absolutely crushed our model. We looked at the top 20 smart contract platforms. Number 1 was Ethereum, just by a fraction. Number 2, Solana, and number 3, right behind Solana, was Matic. And the rest of them were just way, way, way down the line. So that explains it. So Polkadot really scored bad, but again, we've got to see the adoption of the parachains coming, and until I see that, I'm a show me guy. Show me the money first before I jump in. Show me the execution, and that's what I'm waiting for. The OC agent, have some dry powder to add more salt to my bag. What are you setting your salt traps? So I got my big fill at 135 earlier today. So I would only be buying at that level because my cost basis is very low. But I do have some other traps set, but just for Solana. Again, if it does wick down to, if you don't have any, even a 156, 161, it's just so strong. We'll see, but definitely anywhere under 150, I would consider getting more even 156 level. And I hope that helps. Jacob Willett, what's the point in taking profits when you owe 40 to 50% in capital gains tax each time? How am I making money when I'm paying so much in taxes? Good point. You're obviously in New York or California, and that's part of the problem. And that's a real issue. And that's why you always need to take into account taxes. Like if I'm doing big trades, I use leap options, and I wait at least a year to be able to exit them because I don't want to give half away. So that's a huge part of how I play the game. But you're right. If you make $100,000 from 10 grand, your profit's 90 grand. You got to give 45 away. It's a bit of a pain. But it's only short-term capital gains because, you know, in states that have high state taxes. The other option is to move to a place that doesn't have any crypto tax. That can help too. And then you can trade all day long like Raoul Pal. Henry Bailey, forgive me if you talked about this already, but what are your thoughts on Quant? Quant is good from the Crypto Compendium perspective. It scored well, but we had different plays that were better. Let me pull up the exact number right now. It scored really well, actually. It's in the top 20 percentile. It's all good, but it was just one of those things that actually ran before we could get it, and I don't chase. And I have been doing so well in other things I don't need to. I don't need to dabble with anything else. I think it was the chart as well when I first looked at it. I really didn't like it. And you know, it's gone from 220 to 340 when Solana's done a 10x, you know. So that's why it's probably just too small. But everything from the Crypto Compendium perspective, it's really good. But it's just I only have room in my stable for 8. If I do kill something, I shouldn't say kill, it's a bad word, but if I shake loose a loser, then I can replace with something, but I can't have more than 10. So I hope that helps, Henry. But Quant from the Crypto Compendium, thumbs up. Thanks for your donation as well. Maharoni, David McGee, Heir to the Ron, you're too kind. Philip Servin, Joe Bake, Lee Batty, Gadan Bai, and Snowfall, Millennium Falcon, and Suyesh Bandari, and MT. And thank you for donations as well. Pro Editor Guy, FC Boy Crypto. Very, very generous of you. Pronounce It Pro, Fantasy Collision and Customs, Andy Kurtz, and JRAM. JRAM, you're always there. Thank you so much. Listen, everybody, it's still a great time to be alive. Don't be freaked out. I mean, Bitcoin, we struggled to get above 50,000 for the longest time. Now it's at 40,000, 47,000, I should say. Whoops. We're just right under the 50,000 level. So it's not all bad. It's just a tiny, tiny haircut. And we had a great weekend as well. Just hang tough, everybody. Everything will come good over time. And again, buckle in. September we knew was going to be a bumpy month because historically it always is. And then that drives some preconceived notion in the heads of people as well as we go forward. So I think that's a wrap. I don't see any more questions coming in. And yes, that's it. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And have a good night. And I'll see you tomorrow.